Hello, my name is Mark Ream, and I'm the Director of Counseling Services here at ASU. And I have the privilege of getting to share a little bit about what we have to offer for you as students here at Counseling Services. We have a building that's located right between the brand new construction of the museum and the new chapel. And you can see a little picture of it on the lower left-hand corner of your screen. We have some contact information up for you in case you want to know more about what we do, and we'll be going over that in a few minutes as well. So I hope not to take up too much of your time. I know these webinars can get a little dry, and I will try to do my best to remember my theatrical training and make it a little bit engaging for you all. So let's get started and talk about why are we even having to watch this during our class. And so the reason is because we have a lot of mental health issues here at ASU, not just here, but in the world, really. So here's a snapshot of ASU students. And so every time a student comes to counseling, they have to take this assessment. It's 62 questions, and it helps us get a good baseline on what students are struggling with. So out of the 600 plus ASU students who come to counseling services every year, we actually score higher in these areas than the rest of our other college students across the country. So some of the areas are depression, anxiety, academics, eating, hostility, family, overall distress. We actually score a little bit higher than the national average. The big one that jumps out to me, though, is suicidal ideation. 45% of the students who walk through our doors experience some level of suicidal ideation, compared to 36% of our peers around the country. So that is highly concerning. And again, think about this not in terms of every student at ASU, but the students who come to counseling. So maybe you can look at this list and recognize that you have some areas of concern on here. And it might be a good idea to consider coming to counseling and have a safe environment to talk about these things. So hopefully we can overcome them. One thing I want to point out about these little slides is on the left-hand corner, we have this little resilient Rams logo. And we made that name because that's what one of our missions is to try to create resilient Rams who can face adversity, because we will all have it, and keep moving forward to bounce back. That's the definition of resilience, to be able to bounce back from the life struggles. So let's talk about the struggles that you may or may not face as a college student here. So academics, the reality is that you're probably going to be facing something a lot more challenging than high school, and there's a lot more required of you and expected of you, and there's not as much hand holding. I'm not saying your high school teachers handheld you or maybe your parents, but it's possible that they did. But a lot of times professors are going to put syllabuses online and expect you to know the due dates and submit things on time. So it's a big change for a lot of people, and it's one of our top 10 reasons why people come to counseling. So be prepared and get good time management skills and organizational skills. It's going to go a long way in helping you. Homesickness, believe it or not, I mean, you may be watching this a couple weeks into the semester, and so you probably have experienced some homesickness, even though maybe 2 years ago you were counting down the days until you could leave and go to a new environment. But the reality is we're used to comfort. We're used to things that make sense to us. And this is probably a whole new environment for a lot of people. So having some social support is going to be one of your biggest avenues for getting through homesickness, finding some new friends, getting involved with clubs and things like that. Just for some people, like we showed on the last slide, social anxiety is one of the biggest issues that we deal with every single day. And it's hard to make friends and meet new people. Maybe some of you have had the same friends since you were 4 years old in pre-K, and now you're having to come to a whole new environment where there is so many people. I know a lot of people will say, like, everyone seems to have a group to belong to, and I got nothing. And that's a very real reality for some people. And so we need to figure out how to overcome our social anxiety, get involved, get active, and meet some people. I think you're truly blessed in life if you have 2 or 3 people that you can call a really good friend that you can trust. Roommate drama. So those of you who live on campus, during the course of this year, you will likely run into some roommate drama. I mean, we all come from different walks of life, different backgrounds. and we all live a little bit differently. So being able to navigate those situations, sometimes we may need to enlist the support and services of our RA, but working through some of those communication issues will be vital. Some people have to work. Usually when I'm in a classroom, I'll be like, hey, who's working? And how do you balance all that new stuff, work, your social life, your academics? If you count the number of hours that are invested in each, I mean, most of your week is taken up, especially if you actually want to, do something called sleep. So figuring out a life balance is going to be pivotal for you all during this time period. Finances. So again, some of you may need to work to pay your bills and not try to get into as much student loan debt as possible. And so again, that's another consideration. Some people have parents who are very loving and caring, but sometimes I hear lots of these terrible stories in my counseling office about parents who will give them money with strings attached, of course. And so that's always another stressor. And then some parents, especially in this current situation, may have lost their jobs and we're worried about back home and how are they going to pay their bills. And so a lot of these things can weigh on us as we try to navigate, getting good grades and working towards the future that we want. Speaking of the future, many people don't know what they're going to school for, and many people will have that change throughout their course of time here, and that's quite all right. I think the last time I heard a statistic about people changing their majors was typically people change it up to 4 to 7 times. And so if you don't know what you want right now, that's quite all right. We have a great career services here on campus that would be glad to help you with that. Independence. So again, many of you have already developed strong maturity and had to do lots of responsibilities at home, and many of you may not have had to do it at all. So it's just little things like, do I need paper towel for my room? How do I do my laundry? And how do I balance my checkbook? These are all possibly new things for everyone. And then the other fun thing is, I mean, there's probably going to be something called a party. I don't know. I think they had them when I went to school, and I don't know if they still do. But I mean, there's going to be that option. Do I want to study for my big test tomorrow that I need to do well on, or do I want to go out and hang out with friends and stay up till 4 in the morning playing video games? So all those things are going to be up to you. You have a whole new sense of this is my choice, my life, and I get to face the consequences, both good or bad. Another thing that we often hear about is what's going on back at home. Again, so most of you probably aren't from St. Angelo, and you've lived hours and hours away or 30 minutes away. But we have those friends forever, and we're wondering what in the world are they doing? Are they having as good of a time as I? Are they struggling like I am? And so we always compare ourselves to other people. And so one thing that I say contributes to homesickness more than other is your physical body has come to ASU in San Angelo, but your heart and your brain are still back in Houston. Or I drove to this really cool city the other day. It was right up by Oklahoma, something Falls. Anyway, but try your best to come here, to be present, to enjoy ASU and all that it has to offer. I mean, we really have an office for everything on campus. So whatever you're struggling with, whatever you want to find that would be fun, please get involved there. Of course, keep up with your friends back at home. Make sure you know what's going on. Keep up in touch with them. But it's also a great opportunity for you to get connected here. All right, family pressures. We mentioned this a little bit with finances, but other times there's family pressures to succeed and to know exactly what you want to do and to make sure you get all A's and never to go and party. And that's a very real thing for a lot of people. And so trying to navigate that, having those conversations with parents, trying to, tell them, hey, I'm an independent 18 to 25 to 50-year-old person, and I can figure this out on my own. I want your support, and I want to clue you in on some things, but part of this is my deal, and I need to learn how to manage on my own. Another thing that people do because of family pressures, they go home every weekend. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. That would be pretty crazy for me to do. It's your life, and I want to empower you to make your own choices. But a lot of times people go back home every weekend, and really, I've talked to some seniors here in counseling, and they say, man, I wish I would have spent more time at my ASU experience, hanging out, being involved, meeting people that I can have as lifelong friends. So that's a choice for you to make. How much do you want to invest here and how much do we want to invest back home? Finally, I'm going to talk about social media. I'm going to be that guy. I know it's annoying since I don't even use social media myself, but I do a presentation on it every single year for the campus, and I found that pretty frequent social media usage increases our symptoms of anxiety, depression, body image issues, eating disorder concerns, because we're humans and we all compare ourselves to other people. And so when I go onto my social media account, um, and I feel like crud for whatever reason. Maybe I felt like I just got rejected by that person I was really interested in, or maybe I went to this event like this weird counselor told me to keep going to, but no one even came and talked to me. I mean, that can be pretty harmful to my psyche. And then I go and look at my all my other friends' Snapchats, and they're all like kicking it and having so much fun and getting A's in their tests. I mean, I'm bound to feel bad about myself. And then I also see all these filtered pictures on other people's sites and think, wow, I do not look like that. I do not feel like that. And so, again, I'm not saying don't use social media. Obviously, it's the way of the world. It's where a lot of people get their information. But if we can limit its usage and take everything in perspective of we always compare our behind the scenes stuff with other people's highlight reels. I mean, that's the definition of social media right there, isn't it? I mean, no one knows what's going on when they see my picture of me hiking in the woods with my three buddies and we're having a ball, even though maybe internally I'm sad and homesick and just got an F in my test. And so just think about social media that way. All right, so now we talked about all those bad things that you may face, and again, you probably will face them. And if you don't face them, that's fantastic. But the reality is, most people struggle in certain ways, and sometimes we can perfectly well manage them on our own, and sometimes we need to come to a counselor and talk. One thing I want to say about that is a lot of people won't come to the counseling center because they're afraid, like, who's going to know, or is this going to go on my student record? Or am I going to get diagnosed? Or are they going to try to make me take medication? The answer to all those questions is no. Everything you say in the counseling service office is confidential. It does not go on your student record unless you sign a release of information. We have to partner with another office, but that is a pretty rare instance. So let's talk about if you did come or if you didn't want to come. What can you do to cope and practice self-care? Have you heard of that term before? I mean, it's literally just basically using strategies to help me calm down, relax, and get through it and be a resilient ram. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these little memes. So spending time in nature, I don't know if you can see it over me right now. I see myself in the corner over this picture of this beautiful forest, but going out hiking, being around green stuff, that actually helps reduce anxiety and stress. Even I was even in Walmart one time in the winter, and they had some plants up, and not a lot of plants are alive in the winter, and I felt like peaceful. And you get that extra shot of oxygen that can really help. Do exercise. And one of the best things that you can possibly do for yourself is to work out. It doesn't have to mean you're going to become a bodybuilder, but maybe you can play some racquetball, basketball, go for a walk. It actually helps you physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically and physiologically. So exercise is key. One thing that could change your life. This is going to sound cheesy, right? I usually put up this little triangle slide. I'm not going to today, but basically, this is what happens to every person in the world. We all have thoughts, and sometimes most of the time, we don't even know what our thoughts are. So let's picture me walking into a room full of people, maybe my first class ever, and in the back of my mind, all of a sudden, I have these thoughts popping up, like, oh my gosh, this class is going to be too hard. Or I don't even know where to sit, and I don't know if this person's going to want me to sit by them. Or what if I raise my hand in this class and I say something stupid and the professor thinks bad things at me? So again, some of you may have those thoughts, some of you may not have those thoughts. If you did have those thoughts, something's going to happen. It's going to create feelings. So if I had all those negative thoughts, I would start to feel anxious. I'd start to feel scared. I'd start to feel timid. I might even think about leaving the classroom. And so whenever I have those negative feelings of anxiety, fear, depression, scared, I will have certain behaviors. And so my behaviors may be literally leaving the classroom. Maybe it will be I will shut down and won't talk to anyone. And so the one thing that you can control in that situation the most is recognizing those thoughts and changing those thoughts. Let's flip the situation around. What if that person walked into the classroom and said, "Okay, everyone's probably new here. No one knows where they're going to sit. I can participate as much in this class or engage in much of this class as I want to. Maybe I can make some small talk and make a friend in this class." So if you had those thoughts, you would also have some feelings, and hopefully those feelings are a little bit more peace, a little bit more calming, maybe even some confidence. And then when I feel peaceful, confident, and calm, I tend to have better behaviors that come out of me, which are maybe talking to my neighbor, maybe raising my hand in class. So I hope that makes sense. But because most of the time people are so driven by our feelings, we don't recognize that almost every time you have a feeling, it's because you have a thought running through your mind up here. All right, so some other things you can do: practice art, engage your mind in some creativity, spend time with friends, hang out with people, practice yoga, meditation, prayer. Again, I'm not advocating any religion, but there are lots of studies out there that show if you have some form of spirituality, and again, that might be going for a walk in nature, that might be doing a 10-minute yoga session, that might be spending some time in 5 minutes of time in silence. You have a higher life satisfaction. All right, some other things. These are just really simple slogans. Slow down, keep calm, be positive, take it easy, unplug. Again, maybe sometimes it's beneficial to unplug from social media and emails. Have fun, relax, breathe, laugh. Laughter is incredible for your physical and mental and psychological well being. Now, I have some other crazy pictures on here, right? Like, why would these be on here? Because the reality is sometimes we don't always make the right choice. Sometimes we sleep, and sleep is actually very good for you, but sometimes we sleep to avoid. And some people will sleep 16 hours a day and then not go to their classes and then not hang out with their friends. And so sleep is a great, valuable tool, and I would love for you all to get in a routine where you could try to go to bed at a similar time every night and get into a habit and pattern and get your required hours of sleep so you can have optimal functioning. Um, and sometimes we do it to avoid. Just there's another picture of a relationship, making out. A lot of people um, have relationships, and that's fantastic. And I encourage that all day long. But sometimes we also make unhealthy decisions revolving around relationships and sex. Sometimes we fill voids with people. Sometimes we have love addiction. And so again, all these things up here, even eating this food, sometimes it's easy to cope with my emotional distress with some burgers and some canes. I know that the cane's really close to campus, and there's lots of good campus dining options as well. So everything we need to do, think about it in moderation. I know I haven't eaten much fast food in a long time, but we just took this really long trip to Wisconsin and then to Georgia to visit some grandparents, and we ate all this fast food. And every time I eat fast food, I get sick or my stomach feels awful for like 72 hours. So the foods we eat, the exercise we have, I mean, these all affect our moods and our ability to bounce back. And then there's this picture of Will Smith. I'm pretty sure this movie's old school, which is actually pretty hilarious, even for an old codger like me. But partying is a reality of college. A lot of people do it. I think more people don't do it than people actually realize. Um, so again, I'm not making a stance here on drinking or taking any drugs. Obviously, there's some illegalities, especially for those brand new freshmen who are underage. And obviously, all drugs are illegal, or illegal drugs are illegal. So I would never encourage that behavior. But again, I know you'll face some of those pressures and you'll get to make decisions. And so again, think about this in moderation. Do I want to keep myself safe? Do I want to put myself in a good position? Do I want to remain in control? And those are all choices that you get to make. And again, we will help walk you through any of these things that you're going through. So that's coping and self-care. Again, you guys know a lot of these things, and a lot of times we just don't do them. And we're going to talk about reasons why people don't do them. So I'm going to start with this nice quote here: "The love and attention you always thought you wanted, you always thought you wanted from someone else, is the love and attention you first need to give yourself." And I think that is so true. We so often try to validate who we are and what we are with other people's feedback, which is again where social media comes in a lot of times. Um, a lot of times we'll post a picture and hope and wait for people to like it or make a good comment on it. Then even if you got 50 likes and then you got 2 negative comments, you're probably going to remember those negative comments more than you are even the positive ones. And so we need to learn how to validate ourselves. Think about your strengths. You all have some amazing strengths that have got you this far. I mean, not everyone is going to college. Not everyone is pursuing a higher education. And so you must be doing something right. So why don't we get help? A lot of times it's hard to say no. And I know we all can struggle with this in certain ways, but saying no to people, places, and things. Again, you have 3 tests coming up in the next 2 days, but your roommate says, "Hey, I'm really bored. Let's go out and hang out." So what are you going to say? Are you going to say, "No, I can't do that right now because I have to put myself first"? Or are you going to say, "Of course, let's go hang out," and then you end up staying out till 4 in the morning and doing poorly on your test? And then worse off, your parents call you after your test and say, "How'd they go?" And you don't want to tell them what you did or how you did. And so maybe you tell a fib or something. I know none of you guys are going to do this. I'm just making up stories from my college because I've had to learn the hard way. And that's why we're giving this presentation, because we don't want you to have to learn the hard way. But it's okay to say no. Sometimes you do need to put yourself first, and that is actually not selfish. All right, immediate gratification. Again, it's kind of similar. Do I want to do what's best for me, big picture, and think about all of the consequences and all the data points that I need to consider before making this choice, or do I want to just do what feels good? Doing what feels good can lead to some negative choice consequences. Like, I'm not even going to describe them because I'm not going to, because you guys can use your imaginations better than I. So screens, again, going back to that previous slide, screens are amazing. Let's say you actually studied all day, had classes all day, and you want some downtime. Go for it. Watch your favorite show on Netflix. My wife and I are watching Riverdale right now for some reason, and it's very entertainingly cheesy. But we can maybe watch 1 or 2 shows, and then that's it. There's actually research that shows that if you actually watch TV or even are on like a social media platform more than 2 hours straight, your symptoms of depression do increase. And so be mindful of it. And again, remember, I am prone to compare myself to other people. So how much do I want to feed into that? All right, so other people don't get help or talk to other people about their stuff because they feel unworthy. Like maybe they don't feel like their issues are big enough, or maybe when they were a kid, they've been told, just shut up, tough it out, be quiet, don't talk about bad stuff, only talk about good stuff. And so they don't feel like they're worthy to get help. But I want you to know that we all struggle at certain times. We all need help at certain times. Again, if you could solve all your problems and had a perfect life, you'd probably be doing that right now. And so sometimes it's great to talk to someone who's outside of your own life, who can give you a little bit of different perspective. All right, we all have a list of shoulds. Some of us have identified the shoulds, like I should not smoke, I should not drink, I should not swear, I should always be nice to people. We almost get into a robotic automaton mode. I should study for 8 hours a day, and if I don't, I'm a failure. If I don't get all A's, my parents are going to crush me. Or I should have 15 new friends by the end of the first week. Again, some of these things are great goals, and some of them are extremely unrealistic. And so I don't like the word should at all, because I think life is so gray and there's so many different choices and options that we have for us that confining ourselves to certain shoulds can be really limiting. And again, some people have heard their whole life, you should never go to a counselor. Don't admit that weakness. Don't admit that you are struggling, because we have to put on a good face. And again, there's a place for that. I mean, I think a lot of times we do have the ability and the resilience to pull ourselves up and make it through. But again, sometimes we can't do that, or sometimes we can't see past the problems that are right in front of our face. All right, other people struggle with pride. Again, it's kind of that same mentality, like, I need to do this on my own, and what are those other people going to think about me if I go and talk to them about my problems? And so this is me blunt. I'm going to be old Uncle Mark right now. Get over it. Pride is not a great virtue. I mean, it can be helpful and it can build confidence, but it also can detract from us getting help that we need. All right, so those are some objections that we hear a lot of times for getting help. And again, I'm not saying, hey, everyone come to counseling services. I'm saying if you need help and you can't figure it out and you don't have anyone in your life who you can talk to, we would be glad to be that person for you. All right, and jumping off on that point, here is a slide of a girl who was out in the middle of a field and she is all by herself and she is quiet. I mean, that's just the deduction I'm taking away. Hopefully, everyone has their own awesome impression. But I will tell you, I've been counseling now for 12 years. So I've seen, I'm going to guess, about 2,000 people, maybe a little under, maybe a little over. Most of the time has been with college students. Actually, the last 10 years, I've been in the college counseling field. And so I will tell you this is crazy, but I would say 98% of those people have said the exact same thing to me. They say, I don't talk about my problems or share my feelings with other people because I don't want to be a burden on someone else. Or another thing that they might say is, I don't want them to look at me differently. I don't want them to judge me. And again, obviously, there's a reason why people feel that way because being vulnerable is really challenging. And sometimes you do get jerks and people who are not very understanding, and they may have been parents, they may have been teachers, they may have been counselors, they may have been professors, and they have rejected you and minimized your feelings and invalidated you. And so you have a sour taste in your mouth about opening up, and that's fair. And I can't make up for that. But what we can do, I mean, our commitment here is to offer you an open, safe, trusting environment that is confidential. Again, we're not going to share your concerns with anyone. Unless you say I'm going to like walk out of the door and kill myself or shoot someone else, then obviously we'd have to take some additional actions, but there's varying degrees of that. So I'll tell you a little tiny story. I was working with a 50-year-old dude once. This was not in my last university, but this was in a private practice. And he was like a tough dude. He was like 6'4", 250, had the leather motorcycle jacket, had the tats. He was looking rough. And I was like, man, this is cool that you're coming to counseling because you don't look like the type. Of course, I didn't say that to him, but that was kind of what's going on in my mind. And so I literally asked him one question. I said, hey, I can't say his name because of confidentiality. What brought you into counseling? And this guy started bawling, crying. And he cried. Our sessions are 45 to 50 minutes. He cried the whole session. And I literally didn't say another word. I just let him cry. And I said, at the end, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay. I just couldn't talk because I had so much emotion. I said, well, do you want to come back and try again next time? And shockingly, he did. And so literally this happened for 4 and 5 weeks straight. He came and cried and just let it all out. And finally, when he was able to talk more and elaborate more on what he was going through, he said, for 50 years of my life, I've been told, you got to be tough. You got to be strong for yourself and everyone else. You can never show emotion. You can never show weakness. And so what that did is it built up this huge emotional bubble inside of himself. And the only way that can get out is through your body. If you're not going to express it, if you're not going to release that through exercise and communication and getting that out, your body's going to express that through an emotional meltdown. It might express it through panic attacks. It might express it through chronic anxiety where you're always on edge. It might express it through mental breakdowns. It might express it through fits of anger. So even like your closest friends, maybe they come up to you and they say something and you just explode on them, which is totally inappropriate for the situation. And so what we want is for you to have people in your life. Again, this may not be us. I would much prefer that you have 2 or 3 close friends in your life that you can say, hey, dude, I really am struggling with these academics and I'm fearful that I'm not going to make it past this class. And then my parents are going to whoop my butt. Or, hey, friend, I just got broken up with. And on top of that, my grandmother just died. And I really feel sad and alone. again, those are possibly some dramatic situations. But if we don't have those people, that emotional balloon is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And now maybe you're the person that doesn't have those people right now. And that's a problem, and that's sad. Let us be those people. We're glad to help anytime. All right, so we're going to talk about some resources really quick. So, because of all this stuff that's going on, with the health and safety of the world, there's a couple ways to become a client. So we're offering for this semester and probably a year, individual face-to-face counseling. So come into our offices. Like I said, we're in that building between the new museum and the new chapel. From 9 to 3 every single day, we have a counselor waiting for a brand new intake. If you want to call ahead for your first appointment, our number is on the bottom here, that 942-2371. You can schedule a time that works with your schedule. So we'll do face-to-face counseling. Our offices are marked out with social distancing. We have lots of different mask options, including clear masks, so that we can actually see each other's faces. If you don't want to do that, or you live really far away, we do have teletherapy. So our preferred method for teletherapy, especially if you do live on campus, is to come for that first face-to-face talk, and then we'll assess to see if teletherapy is a good fit. And then after that, we can do WebEx is just like this, where we can see each other and our faces over WebEx. If WebEx is not an option for you due to disability or other reasons, maybe internet connectivity, we can also do a phone call conversation. The only thing about WebEx and phone calls is they're not as secure and they're not as confidential. So we definitely prefer coming face-to-face in person, getting to see you and getting to know you better that way. But that's how you can become a client, and those are our counseling options. Typically, we do have group therapy and things like that, but due to the social distancing, we're probably not going to be able to do that this year. All right, I want you literally to take out your phone right now. I want you to put this number in your phone. I know professors are not going to be excited about you taking out phones in their classes when they're delivering their lectures, but I'm going to make you do it right now. All right, punch in this number, 325-486-6345. This is the ASU Crisis Helpline. So what this number is if you call it, you're going to be connected to a counselor. It's not going to be me or one of our staff here. It's going to be a counselor somewhere across the country, but they're a mental health professional. And so they're going to talk you through whatever situation you're going through, be it suicidal ideation at 3 a.m, be it, hey, I just got broken up with and I don't know who to talk to, or I'm struggling with my academics and I need to get a game plan in place. Whatever your concern, no matter how big or how small, call it. And again, you may not need this number tomorrow or a week from now. Maybe you need it your junior year, but it's great to have handy. And again, this is something that I've heard from students. They're not calling it as much as they could because they worry it's going to get back to someone. Well, I will tell you this: the only person that it's going to get back to is me, and that's because I'm the director of counseling and I get the reports. And so one of the things that they're going to ask you on the call is they're going to say, "Do you want anyone to reach out to you?" And if you say no, we will absolutely respect your privacy, and we will never ever reach out to you if you call that number. If you say yes, then I will call you and just say, hey, what's going on? Do you want to come in for counseling, or are you cool? And so please use that when you need it. We pay a ton of money for this every single month for students to use this, and we probably get 15 to 30 calls a month. And I know that there's people out there who need to talk sometimes. So I want to tell you about something we're really excited about. I actually can show you some of these grand prizes we're going to offer. So be sure to check your ASU email. I know I say that now, but I know within 2 weeks, you'll probably be annoyed because Counseling Services does send out a lot of emails, but that's because we put on a lot of outreach events. We have tons of trainings on things like suicide prevention or how do I get better sleep. We're also going to do a lot of these as webinars. But so here's the deal. Every time in the fall semester that you go to a webinar, or an in-person training, we're going to put up a little 5-question survey. And every time that you watch the webinar and complete the survey, it's going to go right to our email, so we'll know who you are. You are going to be entered in to a contest, or a drawing, excuse me, I didn't put this. Bear with me for 1 second. we have 2 prizes we are going to give away. So I think I'm going to make the decision with you all right now. In the fall, we will give away a pair of Apple iPods. So every time you fill out that survey and attend an event, you'll be entered into a drawing. And then in the spring, we're going to give a Flip 5 JBL speaker away. So again, check out the events. I mean, obviously they're there to promote mental health awareness and reduce stigma so that we can get people the help they need. All right, a couple of other things I wanted to share with you. We do have an Instagram page, and I'm going to pull that up in a moment. If I can do that. Technology is fantastic, but sometimes I am terrible. I apologize. Okay, so we have an Instagram page. Believe it or not, a college counseling center has 684 views. Isn't that crazy? But we have videos. We have graphs on mental health. We have photos. We have lots of different things. So please check us out. Consider following us. It'll help you stay abreast of all the things that we have to offer. Another thing that we have is a YouTube channel. So anytime that you see a training that you want to attend, and actually this should help you be able to register for some of those drawings. But all of our trainings are here. Let's say you did think about coming to counseling. We have a staff spotlight video section, so you can see who your counselor is going to be before you talk to them. Maybe it'll help you get a better idea of their personality. We also have, like I said before, there's going to be, I'm not going to play that. I'd like to play that. Here's a list of all of our trainings. I played all. See, I told you I'm pretty terrible with technology. So some of the trainings, man, did you ever hear your own voice on the camera? It's hideous, right? How do I get rid of that? All right, so this summer we did all these different trainings: test anxiety, anxiety and stress, goal setting, anger management, social media and mental health. You can come at any time and check these out. If you would consider subscribing to these things too, that would be pretty cool. All right, I want to show you our website really quickly. If you ever have any questions, I'm surprised how few people use websites anymore. Again, I guess it's betraying my age, but all the information that we have that you want to know is listed here. I want to show you this resource page. We have a ton of apps listed. Like, again, maybe some people will never come to counseling, and that's fine. But we have chat lines. We have other suicide hotlines. We have the local mental health authority. There's a texting line, 2 different texting lines, free online counseling. U Lifeline will help you take screening tools for like depression or like alcohol and drug usage. And then for everyone, this is where our list of apps are. Yes, I would like to see you. So we have brochures and we have apps. So most of these are free, like Breathe, stress management apps, memory and brain speed apps, inspiration apps. You guys probably know so much more about apps than I do, so I will probably be quiet on that one. And then the last thing I want to show you too is this: we partnered with this cool organization called Psych Hub, and we have our own ASU page. And so there's hundreds of videos on here. If you never want to come to counseling, but you want to learn about practicing mindfulness, this is a short 4-minute video that you can watch. Maybe you're stressed out about COVID. You can literally do a search in here, and they'll show you the COVID videos that they have created. Mental health issues and coping with COVID, managing the emotions of up and down, tips for managing social isolation, which we all feel on some level. So these are some great resources we have. We want you to check them out at your convenience. Let me go back to the screen. I wish I was able to say, hey, what questions do you guys have? But I can't, because I can. And again, if you do have questions, you can always send them to counseling services at Angelo, or you could give us a call at that number listed. The last thing I want to say, I'm just going to harp on this point. Actually, I had 2 more things. My bad. I forgot about Ram's relaxation. So we've created this really cool room in our office just for the sole purpose of de-stressing, relaxing. Some of the things we have in there are a massage chair, we have yoga mats, we have some stools and a setup there where you can just come and relax and get away from the world. We'll have some couches in there. The only thing, obviously, during this time of the year, with the restrictions that are being placed, we do need to monitor social distancing, and so we can only have 4 people in the room at one time. But it is a pretty big space. But we would love for you guys to check it out. Are some of the rules around it is you can come for 2 hours at a time, and then when others are waiting, we'll ask you to step out. But it should be a really awesome space. It's gonna be super relaxed. We're gonna have some nice calming ambiance and music in there. So check that out. And then the last thing, again, counseling services exists because of your medical services fee. Your medical services fee is not that much money, but that's how we are able to pay for staff and able to provide the counseling services. So if you do come here, we will have to verify if you've paid that fee. And if you haven't paid that fee, we'll just send you up to the bursar office and ask you to pay it. But that is one thing that we need to have paid. But most of you, if you're taking online in-person classes, it will already come out of your tuition. Otherwise, we're never going to ask you for a dime at our offices. We do also have psychological testing available for you. And the last thing is confidential. Again, no one's going to know that you came here unless you want them to, or unless you say, I'm going to walk out of here and kill myself. So please feel free to use our services if you need them. If not, and you're worried about a friend, give us a call. Let us know. Come in and talk to us. We'll help problem solve, troubleshoot that with you. We want to be on your team, and we also are open to partnering with you on any cool, innovative outreach projects you have. In the past, we've partnered with different organizations on campus, so feel free to reach out to us. All right, I will try to bid you adieu, and I wish you a fantastic semester and year. And again, I hope we don't see you because you are thriving as a RAM. But if you need to come, please do so. Don't hesitate to ask for help. All right, thank you so much and have a fantastic day.